We are back reacting to another video by TheDuelLogs, the top 10 best normal traps from Classic Yu-Gi-Oh! As somebody who still uses old trap cards to this day, I'm a big fan of things like Magic Cylinder, Scrap Iron Scarecrow, although that's not exactly Classic Yu-Gi-Oh! I'm excited to see what we take a look at today. Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. If you are new here, my name is Kyle. I'm your guy with too many YouTube channels. Guys, go please show some love to TheDuelLogs in the pinned comment description down below. Let's get into it.
While Yu-Gi-Oh! Players know there are three kinds of traps, the average person more than likely envisions normal traps.
That's my guy right there. Magic Cylinder. One of the most underrated cards in the entirety of Yu-Gi-Oh! I wholeheartedly believe that.
The type that can be activated at any time to disrupt your opponent's plays. That's a pretty reasonable vision as well, considering most of the traps in the game are normal, with many of the most iconic ones being normal traps as well.
Raigeki break. That doesn't fall with my GOAT Magic Cylinder, and even Trap does shoot.
It's especially true for Classic Yu-Gi-Oh!, where a bulk of the most played traps were normal traps, as floodgates and counter traps were not nearly as powerful yet.
You know what? I also love Phoenix Wing Wind Blast. Just anything that I could send to the top of the deck was something that I was supremely interested in. Rise of the Storm Monarch, I always used it.
First, we'll go over the best normal traps before the advent of synchro monsters.
Oh, okay, that's what they mean by Classic Yu-Gi-Oh! Huh. The best ones, it's got to be Compulse. Oh, Solemn Judgment doesn't count, right? Did he just... I'm an idiot. He meant just, normal traps. The title says it. I'm sorry.
And starting off at number 10, we have Compulsory Evacuation Device.
Still sees regular play to this day. It's still a big fan. I'm still a big fan of it personally. Love this card.
A normal trap released in 2004's Invasion of Chaos. Its most recent reprint came in the 2023's 25th Anniversary Rarity Collection. Compulsory Evacuation Device's effect is to target one monster in the field and return it to the owner's hand.
You know what's funny too? Is... I've always had a little bit of a problem with this card because when you use it, and obviously everybody started using it because you used it on fusions, synchros, and XYZs. When synchros got popular, this was a thing you saw a ton of play. They can't go to the hand. So like that I always had a problem with, so maybe you couldn't target those monsters, but you know what? I'm glad because it's a great card.
Compulsory Evacuation Device is most often shortened to Compulse by players of the game, which is great because the card is a mouthful. The first print of Compulse didn't mention targeting, but official rulings at the time stated that it did. What is there bad to say about this card? Well, not much, clearly, as monster removal cards are generally good. Compulse can be activated at pretty much any time, meaning unless your opponent destroys it before summoning any monster, you'll be able to return something to the hand.
Always. It's the best card to have set. It's the best thing. You have a ton of options that you can do with it, whether it's saving your own monster, destroying your opponent's, removing your opponent's monsters from the field.
Why is it so low on the list then? Well, the biggest reason for that is the fact the card isn't really being used to its full potential during this era of the game. If you activate Compulse on an extra deck monster, that monster returns from the field back to the extra deck instead of the hand.
See, that's what it was a little confusing to me when this card first started getting popular back in the Synchro era. It just doesn't make sense, you know? You shouldn't be able to target Synchro monsters, but I know I'm probably going to hear about that in the comments.
During the Classic era, the extra deck was the Fusion deck, and almost no deck actually fusion summoned monsters properly. Often, fusion monsters were cheated out of the extra deck using Metamorphosis. Since these monsters were not summoned properly, the best way to remove them from the field was to send them to the graveyard, as they can't be revived from those areas with cards like Premature Burial or Call of the Haunted.
I still hate that rule so much, dude. One of my biggest problems with this game ever is that stupid ruling on Starlight Road. And I found it out the hard way, too. The hard way. When I tried to when I tried to bring back my Stardust Dragon from the graveyard. You can't actually do that because it didn't meet the proper requirements for a synchro summon. Crazy.
However, if they return to the extra deck, this same copy...
I forgot to mention that I summoned it from Starlight Road.
The card can be used for another Metamorphosis play. While that doesn't matter much, since fusion decks weren't limited to 15 cards at the time, think about how much better Compulse got after Synchro Monsters came out.
Yeah, it was quite literally a classic card that saw no play until the synchros ended up coming about.
It takes a lot more work to get a tuner and appropriate level of monster out for a synchro summon than to just get a monster out and use Metamorphosis. Outside of using Compulse to return extra deck monsters to the extra deck, it was more useful than other removals when combined with hand ripping effects. If you can rip the monster out of their hand, you can prevent them from playing it again. Compulse is still good, of course, it's just that other cards on our list proved to be more useful in the early years of the meta.
For the earlier... I don't know, Compulse is pretty solid. I imagine that as we saw Trap Dust Shoots on there, But Compulse, if I had to ballpark it, man, I would say a top 3.
And at number 9 on our list, we have Magic Cylinder.
Yeah, okay, hang on. As much as I love Magic Cylinder, again, I just talked about being one of the most underrated cards in the entirety of the game. Compulsory evacuation device is better.
Which was first released in 2003 as Labyrinth of Nightmare, and was most recently released in 2024's Quarter Century Bonanza. Magic Cylinder can be activated to negate the attack of a monster your opponent controls, and then inflict damage to your opponent's life points equal to the attack of the monster.
So underrated for boss monsters. Use it on something with 3,000, 4,000 attacks somewhere in that area. Dude, I have taken so many games off of people from Magic Cylinder. It's incredible. So underrated.
Battle traps are obviously really good in the early days of the game, since there were less spell and trap card destruction cards around at the time. While Magic Cylinder only stops one attack, the burn damage it does can be huge for finishing the game off. Many burn cards do a low amount of damage, or require some good timing or conditions. Cylinder just requires your opponent to attack you. Obviously, the stronger the monster attacking you, the better that Cylinder is.
And on top of that, you also negate the attack, which is nice too. You protect a monster.
Magic Cylinder was actually pretty featured by Konami during this period of the game, and was limited from April 2003 to August of 2010. And it makes sense too, as it would have been pretty easy to burn someone to death with 2 to 3 copies available. Magic Cylinder was commonly played in decks of the era, appearing in Yugioh Lock, Chaos decks, and most obviously Chain Burn.
You know, I played a lot growing up. I have played this game my entire life. I don't remember consistently seeing Magic Cylinder. I could just be misremembering that, because I'm sure like whoever's making the videos over here, they're obviously very educated in the world of Yu-Gi-Oh. Huh. I don't remember a ton of people using it, but it definitely did see play.
It has plenty of scattered uses even after the dawn of the Synchro Monsters, with its most recent appearance in the TCG being 2021's WCQ Lion Octagon. While burning your opponent is good, removing your opponent's monsters from the field often provides to be more beneficial.
Yeah, so wait, why isn't compulsory evacuation device at number 9 then?
Magic Cylinder's limited status didn't help it either, as the next trap on our list is another powerful battle trap that remained unlimited during this time. And at number 8 on our list,
Sakuretsu armor?
Sakuretsu.
Aha! I got it! I remember a lot of people using this card, dude. This, I never actually really played all that much, but there was a ton of people that loved having 3 copies of Sakuretsu armor.
A normal trap released in 2003's Dark Crisis. It was most recently reprinted in 2024's Quarter Century Bonanza. Sakuretsu armor can be activated when your opponent's monster declares an attack to target and destroy that monster. A battle trap that removes the monster from the field proved to be more useful most of the time.
I'm still personally a bigger fan of something like compulsory evacuation device, because with the secondary effect of like you can activate it and the opponent's monster does not have to be attacking. You can kind of interrupt anything. I still think Compulse is better.
Outside of zombie decks at the time, most decks had to rely completely on Call of the Haunted and Premature Burial to summon monsters from the grave. Sakuretsu armor is also very useful when you need to keep a monster alive, such as Spell Counselor or the level monsters.
Oh my god, using the level monsters back in the day. Oh, forgot about that kind of.
Armor's unlimited status, the battle trap proved to be insanely popular, appearing in most top decks from 2004 to 2007, with a heavy decline in use afterwards. This was probably due to the appearance of a new battle trap, Dimensional Prison, which banished the monster instead of destroying them.
And again, why would you not just flat out use that over Sakuretsu armor? And is that going to be on the list?
Which was just way better. Amongst many deck lists, there was no standard ratio of Sakuretsu armors to run, with decks seemingly running as many copies as they just preferred. Also,
I remember that you seeing the odd deck here and there that used both Sakuretsu armor and Dimensional Prison, which I always found funny.
Sakuretsu armor was great for removing monsters from the field. They still had to attack for the card.
Sorry about that, everybody. Had to have a quick pause. My sister called me.
To be activated. Thanks to another battle trap from this era, players were very cautious when attacking into a back row.
Oh yeah, especially when it was common for people to run 3 of these.
Often waiting until they could clear them with a card like Heavy Storm before going on the offensive.
Dude, you know what I played up when I was a kid? Because again, I played this game like as an actual kid. My dad, actually, long story short, my dad ended up getting me into the game, or like, you know, encouraging me to play the game because I was developing, you know, math and reading skills and concentration, things like that. You know what I played up all of the time when I was a kid is I would like smile and set something useless. Then because I was a kid, people would think that I drew something like Sakuretsu armor, and then they actually wouldn't attack. That worked out so much more than you think it would, and I just played that up completely.
While this is great for stalling turns, a card that could remove a monster at any time might prove more useful. The next card on this list does exactly that. And at number 7, we have Phoenix Wing Windblast.
I love this card. I've always loved this card. Guys, I still think the compulsory evacuation device is better than all these cards, to be honest with you. But man, I don't care that I'm losing a card. Just the fact that you can get something to the top of the opponent's deck and stall them that way is incredible, especially if you have some, like, already an advantage on the field.
First released in 2005's Flaming Eternity.
And it's just a beautiful looking card. Look at that thing, man.
It was most recently reprinted in 2024's Quarter Century Bonanza. Sure gotta love these rarity collections for making these reprints easily accessible. To activate Phoenix Wing Windblast, you must discard one card and then target one card your opponent controls. The targeted card gets placed on the top of their deck. While the discarded card makes this a -1 in card advantage, spinning any card was a rare effect this early in the game. Phoenix Wing Windblast could hit back row cards as well as monsters, giving it a decent bit of versatility too. Because the card is placed on top of your opponent's deck, you effectively sabotage their next turn by replacing their draw with the one that could potentially be useless.
And especially if it's a monster, like a tribute monster, because those were also popular back in the day. Something that is no longer useful now that it's been taken off the field. Incredible, incredible.
Being able to activate Phoenix Wing Windblast at any time is great, as you can use it in response to a targeted destruction of it. Although, to make the best use of it, you'll want to wait for a good target. Ideally, this means a card that takes time to set up.
Dude, back in the day, man, yeah, that's exactly what I was talking about, right? Something like the level monsters is perfect. I actually completely lost my train of thought what I was about to say. Wow. This video is not... We get the sister interruption, then I lose my train of thought. I was about to talk about something that I like to target.
A tribute summoned monster, or a pesky continuous trap. The discard cost of Phoenix Wing Windblast can be mitigated by discarding certain cards, such as Sinister Serpent, who will return to the hand during the next standby phase, or a light or dark monster to pay for the summoning cost of a chaos monster.
I didn't find myself back in the day using it all that much, like, to, you know, just to have something in the graveyard that has the effect because it was discarded. There weren't that many cards that I personally used for that. I just liked having the effect where it's like a trap you can activate any time and it goes to the top of the opponent's deck.
The only downsides of Phoenix Wing Windblast are that you need to be a little picky with what you target. Level 4 or lower monsters aren't the best targets, as they can just be summoned back the next turn.
Well, it's situational. Sometimes it's helpful to just get the monster off the field, and I like having that versatility with the card.
Additionally, if they have a good effect, such as Breaker the Magical Warrior or Magician of Faith, sending them to the top of the deck is better for your opponent than just destroying them, which is what the next card on our list does. And at number 6, we have Raigeki Break, a normal trap.
What? That's number 10. That's number 10 so far, guys.
At first released in 2003's Pharaonic Guardian, Raigeki Break has somehow dodged 4 rarity collections, with its most recent reprint coming in 2016 starter deck Yugioh. Raigeki Break's activation cost requires you to discard a card and target one card in the field.
I get the versatility for it. I get that you can activate it at any time. I like every single trap card that we've talked about more than the placement of Raigeki Break, and on top of that, I still think Compulse is better than all of these. I don't mind all of these being on the list. I'm just find myself disagreeing with the order, and I'd love to know what you guys think down below, by the way.
Afterwards, the targeted card is destroyed. Raigeki Break destroying cards instead of sending them to the top of the deck gives it a little bit more utility than Phoenix Wing Windblast in the classic era.
I would always choose to use Phoenix Wing Windblast over Raigeki Break. I don't know if that's a hot take or not.
For example, destroying a continuous spell or a field spell is better than return it to the top of the deck because they can just be played again instantly on the next turn.
But I would also have things like MST and Dust Tornado in the deck as well.
Raigeki Break is also a -1 in card advantage, but can also be mitigated in the same ways. While in the modern game, some cards can prevent destruction by card effect, or can gain advantage from being destroyed by card effect, in the classic era, these are very few and far in between. In competitive play, Raigeki Break initially wasn't popular, having only a few placements from 2004 to 2008. However, it did pick up in popularity in 2013, appearing in Mermail and Dragon Ruler decks.
2013, eh? Really? That late? I must be like, my brain must be not working today because I'm like misremembering a lot of things about these OG trap cards. I don't remember people playing it in like 2013.
The popularity of GOAT format, Raigeki Break has seen more use in the classic era decks.
I could imagine.
Thanks to the application of future knowledge to an older format. And at number 5, we have Dust Tornado.
There we go. There we go. A very, very, very popular card. I was always a big fan of MST. I had my years, and like, when Dust Tornado was kind of in the meta, I oftentimes did incorporate Dust Tornado into the deck. I was a fan of just running like one Heavy Storm, having a monster that could break some spells and traps. When the cards, started more coming around, like I talk about on the channel quite a bit. Big fan of Galaxy Cyclone. Big fan of Night Beam. Other than that, Dust Tornado I've used in particular decks in particular time periods.
It was first released in 2002's Feral Servant and was most recently reprinted in 2024's Speed Duel Battle City Finals. When Dust Tornado is activated, you target one spell or trap card your opponent controls. After the targeted card is destroyed, you can set a spell or trap from your hand. Spell and trap card destruction in early Yu-Gi-Oh! Is at a premium, with the standard back row hit cards being limited. Dust Tornado is a solid option for this, as it doesn't have a cost and is unlimited. The more interesting part of the card, though, is the ability to set a trap afterwards. While this
I don't know if I've ever used that ever. I don't even know if it's been used, like, I don't even know if it's been used on me, to the point where, like, every time I think about Dust Tornado, I forget that it has that effect.
doesn't seem like a big deal at first. If you can set a card on your opponent's turn, then you'll be able to activate it immediately on your turn. However, if you set on your opponent's turn, they can destroy it before you can activate it, right? Well, if you use Dust Tornado intelligently, you can mitigate the risk of having your newly set trap blown up. One common play is to wait until your opponent's end phase, then activate Dust Tornado to destroy whichever spell or trap they set that turn, both destroying the back row card.
Yes, I understand that, but I understand that you have to be careful of things like Giant Trunade and Heavy Storm, but I would set Dust Tornado along with another trap. I never use Dust Tornado like so I can set another trap card personally, and I don't think that a lot of people did use it that way. I'm sure it did see play, it's just, I'm not, maybe again, I'm misremembering.
Before they have a chance to activate it, while also being able to set a card during a phase where spell speed 1 effects can't be activated to deal with the newly set trap. In competitive play, Dust Tornado saw plenty of use during the Classic era, with well over 400 tops from 2004 to 2008.
Oh, I completely believe that. Everybody was running Dust Tornado back in the day. People were running both MST and Dust Tornado back in the day too.
Dust Tornado is a great card, but to make full use of it, you need to run more traps than the standard amount. You'll also need to consider what kind of traps are good to set on your opponent's turn, so you can activate them on your turn. While a little bit of deck planning...
See, if I had all of these, I would have set 2 of the 3 cards, and I typically would not just use Dust Tornado's effect to start setting the other card.
Isn't the biggest deal. It does make Dust Tornado slightly less generically good than the next card on this list. And at number 4, we have Trap Dust Shoot.
Yep, of course. This is one of the goated trap cards of Yu-Gi-Oh! That has seen the test of time. It's a phenomenal card.
Which was first released in 2003's Verona Guardian, and was most recently reprinted in 2025's Quarter Century Stampede. Trap Dust Shoot can only be activated when your opponent has 4 or more cards in their hand. You look at your opponent's hand, then take one monster in their hand and return it to their deck.
Now, a little bit of a not so popular strategy, but it's not unique to just myself. I loved using Trap Dust Shoot and Mind Crush together. Loved it. Both those with Dark World cards. Oh my god, or Fabled.
Deck is then shuffled. Trap Dust Shoot is already good for the hand rub effect alone, but the hand knowledge gained from the effect really sends it over the top.
I don't know, because again, I have been out of the tournament game for a very long time. And by the way, for those of you following the channel, guys, I'm excited because Dueling Nexus put Genesis on. I'm going to be playing this game so much. Does it still happen in tournaments where people write down things? Because I remember something that everybody hated back in the day was you activate Trap Dust Shoot. Let's say you and I are playing together. I activate Trap Dust Shoot. I look at your hand. Hold on for a second. And you write down every single card that's in the hand. That was infuriating.
Choosing the monster to be shuffled back into the deck helps a lot, because you prevent a monster that would be good for your opponent and or bad for you from hitting the board. Furthermore, looking at your opponent's hand enables you to plan your moves for the next turn or two, as you'll know what cards your opponent has, and thus be able to play around them.
Yep,
this
100%.
slower, less powerful version of the Forceful Sentry was somehow passed up during the first couple of bans.
I don't even remember that card, the Forceful Sentry. Look at your opponent's hand, select one card among them, return it to his or her deck, then the deck is shuffled. Is it banned or something? Because I actually think it's a good card. I don't recall seeing that card ever.
Unless. Leaving Trap Dust Shoot unlimited from its release in 2003 up until September of 2007's ban list, which placed it on the limited list. That's most...
Really? I do not remember that card for some reason.
Of the Classic era's lifespan, which means you can be rocking this card with several other hand rips like Don Zalug and Delinquent Duo to completely wreck your opponent's hand. In competitive play, Trap Dash Shoot did see some use in 2003, but its popularity really spiked in 2007.
It's interesting that this wasn't a hit right from the get-go, because like in any format ever, I think that's a great card.
Which coincides with its placement on the limited list. Trap Dash Shoot was eventually banned in March of 2013, long after the Classic era ended. Obviously, Trap Dash Shoot is extremely splashable in most decks, with the only requirement being freeing up space for it in those decks. In fact, the only reason Trap Dash Shoot isn't higher on this list is that the final 3 traps on this list are pretty much auto-included in every deck for the Classic era.
So before we move on to this next card over here, this is the one that I'll hear you out if you want to say it's better than Compulse, but I still do think that Compulse is better than all of those cards.
And at number 3, we have Torrential Tribute, a normal trap.
There we go. It's been beat. Yeah, it's been beat. You just, it has too many uses.
First released in 2003's Labyrinth of Nightmare, and was most recently reprinted in 2024's 25th Anniversary 10 Dueling Mirrors. Torrential Tribute can be activated when a monster is summoned to then destroy all monsters on the field. It can't be activated when a monster is normal set. However, it can be activated when a monster is special summoned face down with a card like the Shallow Grave. Additionally, Torrential Tribute can't be activated during the damage step, so cards that float into other cards, such as Mystic Tomato, won't trigger the trap.
I've always thought that was dumb too, man. A monster was summoned, period. I know, I get it. It misses its timing. I think that's stupid. I just think it's a dumb rule. By the way, another video that you guys should check out on the channel. I made a video a while ago, the dumbest rules in Yu-Gi-Oh history, and I go over those things that I have a problem with the game over the years. Okay, check it out. It's on the channel.
Those rules clarified, Torrential Tribute is a devastating trap that can reset the board state in many situations. Normally, the way to use this trap is to simply wait for a powerful monster to hit the field. Ideally, one that has to be tribute summoned.
Is anybody else one of those guys that would had no problem using Torrential Tribute on one monster? If there was a monster that I wanted gone, I'd do anything to get it gone. Like, I always talk about on the channel, big fan of Solemn Judgment. I don't care if it costs me half my points. See you later, monster.
And then blow it up with Torrential. However, you can use this trap on your summon as well, which means it pairs well with a monster that wants to be destroyed and or be sent to the graveyard. The most commonly played monster that fits its description would be Sandgan.
Oh,
which
yeah.
Appears
Yep. Dude, I forgot about that strategy because, I mean, you used it every once in a while, but that was pretty common back in the day.
in most decks and searches when it's sent from the field to the graveyard. This lets you clear your opponent's monsters while getting a search off as well. Torrential Tribute even works on summoning Sandgan from the grave with Call the Haunted, so you can preserve your normal summon while blowing up the field for a search. In competitive play, Torrential Tribute was used heavily throughout the Classic era, despite being limited the whole time. In fact, Tribute was limited until March of 2012, where it was made semi-limited. However, that didn't last long, as by September 2013 it would be limited again, before finally becoming unlimited in February of 2018. Torrential Tribute still sees play today, making appearances in Labyrinth decks.
Yeah, it's always been a good card, man. And this one is officially, in my opinion, better than Compulsory Evacuation Device. But I wonder if the other two, what would the other two even be? Classic trap cards, Bottomless Trap Hole, right? That's got to be it. Oh, Dimensional Prison, that's got to be on there too.
As good as Torrential Tribute is,
that's my guess. Bottomless Trap Hole and Dimensional Prison.
the card can occasionally become problematic. If you have already established a board, you have less incentive to use Torrential Tribute. And decks where maintaining a specific board state is encouraged, Torrential Tribute might even be skipped.
Ah, man, like, it's situational. It's like running Dark Hole in your deck. It's just a good thing. You just have to be careful with its uses.
The next card on our list, however, doesn't have any such problem. And at number 2, we have Ring of Destruction.
Oh, I didn't even think about that card. You know what? I'll hear you out on that one. It's close. It's right up there with Torrential Tribute and Compulse. It's a very good card.
First released in 2003's Pharaonic Guardian, and was most recently reprinted in 2025's Quarter Century Stampede. Ring of Destruction can be activated to destroy a monster on the field and inflict damage equal to the monster's attack to both players. Ring of Destruction's combo of destruction and burning can make it a finisher in any deck.
I remember a lot of people hating this card. Wasn't this card banned for a little while? I could be wrong about that. Ooh, even if it is... That'd be an interesting card to throw in Genesis.
The monster is a really
Another phone call. My apologies again, everybody. Hopefully this video is still enjoyable to watch with our interruptions and my brain lagging today.
your problem if you have it set. And even some of the strongest boss monsters of the era have no protection against the deadly trap.
Yeah, that thing was really, really handy back in the day, and for some reason, I can't remember if it was banned or not. I think it was.
The ring's usage against them actually being encouraged to maximize burn damage. Ring of Destruction was almost instantly limited for obvious reasons. Burning your opponent of all their life points would be too easy otherwise.
Yeah, you get this. Oh yeah, could you imagine? You get this, you get Magic Cylinder, a couple attacks, you're golden.
Especially since it was commonly used on your own monster to just burn your opponent for game.
Oh my god, I forgot about that too, dude. There's been some memories that have been unlocking right here. Yeah, you get like you start attacking with some sort of boss monster, and then you use that on your own boss monster. I never even thought of that. I forgot about that. That was a common strategy.
Ring of Destruction didn't stay limited for long though, as it was quickly banned in October 2005.
Okay, I did remember that correctly then.
While Ring of Destruction would return to the limit list for a year from September 2006 to September 2007,
I'm remembering
it would
all of
find
this.
a long wait on the ban list ahead. In fact, Ring of Destruction would remain banned until April 2015, when it received an errata harsh enough to make the card way more balanced. Ring of Destruction was now limited to your opponent's turn, could only be used on a monster whose attack was equal to or less than your opponent's life points, could only be used on your opponent's monsters.
Yeah, what happened to the original card? Come on. I like the original one better.
And had a hard once per turn slapped on it at that. This was enough to allow Ring of Destruction to be unbanned and eventually made unlimited in 2018.
And then nobody played it moving forward.
Where it went on to see basically no play.
Yep.
Ring of Destruction might be the most powerful trap in the Classic era, but the last card on our list is something special with its mere existence changing the way the game is played.
What card changing the game with its mere existence? I don't know what it could be.
But before we do that, let's go on to an honorable mention. The honorable mention goes to Return from a Different Dimension.
Oh, that was a good one. Dude, I can't believe we didn't talk about Bottomless Trap all that entire time. I think there was one more that I was talking about too. There are just some goated cards in general, but yeah, Return from the Different Dimension was a very, very popular card.
A normal trap that allows you to pay half your life points to special summon as many banished monsters as possible. And during the end phase, you have to banish all the monsters summoned by the effect.
Yeah, and then you just use them all for synchro summons. You use them all just to get game. You use it during the battle phase to get your monsters back. This card was goated back in the day.
Obviously, playing this card in any deck that banishes, such as Chaos, Stat, or Macrocosmos, gives you an easy way to OTK your opponent. But the only reason Return for the Different Dimension is an honorable mention instead of a high spot on this list is that it's overshadowed by Dimension Fusion, a spell card with a similar effect.
Pay 2,000 life points, so player special summon as many as removed from play monsters as possible. Really, I like to Return to the Different Dimension better. You could use it during the battle phase to, like, get game at some points.
It only costs 2,000 life points to do the same effect instantly, but with the downside of your opponent being able to special summon their banished monsters as well.
Again, I find myself disagreeing with quite a bit on this list. I like Return from the Different Dimension more personally.
However, if your opponent doesn't have banished monsters, Dimension Fusion is just a superior Return from the Different Dimension.
I understand that.
And at number 1, we have Mirror Force.
Oh my god, how did I not think of that? How did I not think of that? Out of every single normal trap that we've been talking about this entire time, Mirror Force is not something that even came to my head for some reason. Dude, I've been having brain lags this entire video, man.
Trap first released in 2002's Metal Raiders. It has been reprinted over 30 times, with its most recent reprinting coming in 2024's Quarter Century Bonanza. Mirror Force can be activated in response to your opponent's attack declaration to destroy all other attack position monsters.
Would you guys disagree with me if I still said compulsory evacuation device is better than everything that we've talked about? Just because of the versatility of it. It's a safe thing. It can get around, any sort of protection. It can save your own cards if you really want that to happen. I wouldn't mind putting it at number 1, honestly, but please tell me if I'm crazy in the comments.
Mirror Force's power is comparable to Raigeki or Dark Hole, able to wipe your opponent's board with a single card. Yet the fact that it's a battle trap changes how that power is presented. You see, you never know if your opponent's set card is a Mirror Force, but because it could be, you have to play more carefully.
Yes, I remember back in the day, a lot of people would just switch their monsters into defense, or some of the monsters, or maybe 1 or 2 monsters, just in case you end up running into a Mirror Force, and then you would bait out the Mirror Force as points because everybody was running Mirror Force.
This means waiting until you have a way to wipe your opponent's back row cards before trying to push for game. Meanwhile, the set card could simply just be a bluff.
Yeah, and now so many cards today are like, this card cannot be destroyed by trap cards. Your opponent cannot activate trap cards during the battle phase.
But are you going to take that risk if you have a powerful monster on the field? Unlike Sakurata armor from earlier in the list, Mirror Force incentivizes you to wait for a moment where it will do the most damage.
I was also a guy to use it on one monster, to be honest with you guys. I have no problem like just using my cards because the advantage that I could get like immediately, the better in my opinion. I don't want to wait for my opponent to build a board personally, but I don't know if that's really the right thing to do. It's situational, guys.
This often means waiting for a boss monster, like Blackluster Soldier and Void the Beginning, or for several monsters to be on the field.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, if I always have Compulse set, that's something that I could go back to.
Relatively safe to attack with one smaller monster, it also considerably slows the progression of the game state. I think you can see what I mean now by Mirror Force warping the classic era gameplay.
Sorry for using this term, but Mirror Force is a definition of aura. It's a good point. I don't see anything wrong with using aura, to be honest.
It becomes a game of risk and reward, of bluffing and bold plays when a set back row card is on the field. It's very rare that the game state reaches this level, especially in the modern game, where you either stop your opponent from making plays or get crushed under an overwhelming force. Although Mirror Force has long since been power crept by variants of itself,
I like Storming Mirror Force. If you guys haven't noticed, I like the return to the hand cards, return to the top of the deck type cards. I'm a big fan of Storming Mirror Force. A lot of times I've run 3 copies of it. It's just it's compulsory evacuation device, but you know, on steroids.
Often used as a backup battle trap to the power crept variants. After all, in this highly aggressive meta, if Mirror Force does resolve, you'll be able to turn the tables on your opponent.
Yep, absolutely.
Which is kind of a comeback Mirror Force has promised players since it was released all those years ago. Alright, and that's the list.
Dude, that was actually, it's always nice looking back at cards and like the times that they've been used back in the day. But if you want to talk a little bit more about cards like this, we have another reaction from the TheDuelLogs, which you should check out right here. I would love to have you over there. Thank you very much for watching the video, everybody. Take care, guys.